Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I'm cleaning out my car right now. What had happened was today our weather is kind of cloudy, and I also have the luxury of pulling into a parking garage. This is the community college where I'm now working. So I have some comfortable temperatures to clean out my car. Last couple of weeks we've had a very angry sun. The car would reach 140 degrees inside probably. And it kind of reminded me of an analogy to a toxic job that I had last year. I was working at a tutoring center, and I really enjoyed working with a lot of the kids. In fact, I miss them when I think back at it. What I don't miss is the management of the center. So my boss kind of behaved like the angry son, right? Maybe he had good intentions, maybe not, but it made it impossible for me to think about how to tutor the students. I was constantly worried if any little action was going to upset him or cause him to ask questions, or my boss got very upset that I had used some sort of examples in my teaching. He thought that the kids didn't need to hear about, you got to understand, I have kids who are in middle school, or maybe the earlier years of high school, and my boss commented on how I had talked about, I use examples sometimes, 9/11, recessions, inflation, COVID-19. He thought those were too heavy topics to talk to the students, as if we're going to shelter them forever from any of these subjects. And the kids weren't bothered by it. Their parents didn't complain about it. And it just made the whole workplace environment a lot heavier than it had to be. Having to think, actually, my boss wasn't bothered by this, but the parents were. One time I had used an example of what would happen if you could live to be 200 or 300 years old. I was teaching about exponential growth. And the boss was okay with it, but later on, one of the parents complained. What had happened was the kid's grandmother, which would have been his mother's mother, had recently passed away. She was 85 years old. And the mom explained that her son doesn't need to hear about dying of cancer for 15 years until you're 100. That's what his mom explained. They still believe that living to 100 means to just stay on life support for 15 years, whatever the situation is. Obviously, I could tell you guys, I wouldn't tell the mom, but I could tell you guys, living to 100 means that hopefully you'll get cancer 15 years later than you would have, or maybe not at all, right? Not that you're going to die of cancer for 15 years. Another time, my boss was upset that I had quickly checked my email during the class. I mean, it took 2 seconds to look at it. I had other pressing stuff going on. I was waiting for an important email at a different job. I mean, it just created a whole heavy environment. I mean, none of the kids or the parents would have complained about any of it. In fact, the kid probably didn't even notice that I checked my email for 2 seconds. And it made it impossible to clean the car of the work at the tutoring center, right? As soon as I was done, I was in a rush to get out of there, right? Just like I'm in a rush to get out of my car when it's 140 degrees, right? The last thing I'm going to worry about is spilling some drink in the car or garbage that I leave behind in the car, right?